Hello students, today in this video we are going to discuss about the figures of speech, or you can say the literary devices used in this poem. The poem's title is A Photograph by Shirley Tolson. You see, the cardboard shows me how it was. Here the cardboard word has been used for a photograph. Okay, now this is metonymy. This is metonymy, the figure of speech. So what is metonymy? So whenever a thing or a concept is referred to by the name of something else which is closely associated with that thing or concept, it is metonymy. I know you are confused. Let me give an example for metonymy. See, this figure of speech we are using day by day, but we don't know, we don't know the name of this figure of speech. Well, if I give an example of your class, you must have heard from your teacher, last bench pay attention, first bench pay attention. So the teacher is referring to the bench, okay, not the students. Still it is for the students. She is not addressing the students, she is actually using the word bench, first bench, last bench, but it is for the students. So how come it is possible? And you very well understand, if she says, and if you are sitting on the last bench and your teacher says, last bench pay attention, what are you doing? Okay, so you all pay attention, those who are sitting on the last bench. So has your teacher named you all? No, the teacher only used the last bench. So the last bench is closely associated to the students who are sitting on it. Okay, so I am not, or the teacher is not addressing the students directly, the teacher is naming the benches. So the benches are closely associated with the students who are sitting on that bench. So in this way, that also is metonymy. Cardboard is metonymy, which is representing the photograph, because the photograph is pasted or glued on the cardboard. This is the photograph. Okay, this is the photograph, it is glued on the cardboard. Okay, there are many more examples of metonymy. For example, you must have heard this example, the pen is mightier than the sword. Okay, the pen is actually, if you just if you take the meaning literally, and if there are two fighters and one has a pen in his hand and the other one has a sword in his hand, so who do you think will win? Obviously the person who is having sword. Okay, but here the poet or the writer is not talking about the fighting or the war, he is talking about the written words. Okay, so the pen is used for the written words, and that's why the pen is associated with the written words, and the sword is associated with what? Power, strength. Okay, war. So the impact of written words are more powerful than the swords or than the war. Okay, so in this way this statement is also a metonymy. I read Shakespeare, I read Milton, I read Kalidas. Okay, if you literally take the meaning of it, do you read the person? No, you read the written works by those people. But I named what? I did not name their written works, their books, I just named those writers, because those writers are closely associated with the books. Okay, now I think it is clear what is metonymy, and don't worry, I will send you a list of figures of speech with their examples so that you can refer to it twice, thrice. Okay, so this is metonymy. And the next word, shows. Shows, the cardboard shows. Do you think the cardboard can show the poet? It is actually a human trait, it is actually a human character. Who shows you? The humans shows you. I mean, the human being shows you. The cardboard cannot do it. Still, it is said that the cardboard shows me. Okay, so whenever a human quality is given to a non-living thing or an inanimate thing, okay, it is called personification. Personification. Okay, let me write it once again. Personification. Okay, so this is metonymy, and this, because of this, the whole statement is personification, and because of this, the whole statement is, or the whole line is, metonymy. So in your examination, both the, suppose this line is taken in your examination and A, B, C options are given, so the poet, I mean the examiner, will not give you a personification and metonymy both as options. He or she will give you one of the right answers in the options. Okay, and if both the answers are right, you can choose one of them, and the first one will always be right in MCQs. Okay. Okay, then when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands. See, in the second line I don't find any figure of speech, but in the third line I find this word one, which is repeated here also. So when a word is repeated twice, thrice, or many more times in a line or in a sentence, it is called repetition. Okay, repetition. It's very easy, you know this. And one more thing I find here, my mother. So m, this sound is repeated. When a consonant sound, okay, is repeated in a line or in a sentence, you can call it alliteration. Remember, I am talking about consonant sound. Students are always confused. Actually, they consider all kinds of sounds which are repeated as alliteration. No, this is wrong, because for vowel sounds we use the figure of speech assonance. Okay, this is used for vowel sound which are repeated, but in this poem this figure of speech is not used. For this consonant sound being repeated, we will call it alliteration. Okay, anything else? Yes, there is a word hands. Hands is synecdoche. Remember this. Now you must be thinking about this figure of speech. Well, synecdoche's definition is so simple. You can say when a term for a part of something refers to the whole of something or vice versa, it is synecdoche. Suppose if I am talking about a car, I don't use the word car, but I say four-wheeler. My car's design is very poor, sorry for this, but if I say I bought a new four-wheeler, what do you mean by this? I bought a new car. Okay, so I didn't name the I didn't use the word car, but I use the words four-wheelers or the four-wheeler. So these wheels are the parts of a vehicle or a car. Okay, so I am using the part of a vehicle or a car to denote, to represent that vehicle or the car. Okay, so in the same manner here also the poetess has used hands, mother's hands. That means hands is the part of a human body. Hands is actually these hands are the parts of the poet's mother. Okay, so here hands denote or represent the poet's mother, and that's why it is synecdoche. In the same manner, if I talk about hair, hair is also a part of human body. Face, it's also a part of human body, and hair here denotes all three, all the girls. Okay, face denotes mother, hands, hair and face, these three are synecdoche. Okay, let's see the next line. And she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. I don't find any figure of speech in it. Let's see the next one. All three stood still to smile through their hair. Once again, synecdoche. Okay, this is done. There, through there. No, it is not matching. Th, don't take th as similar sounds, because this th has the sound th, and this th has the sound the. Okay, so they don't match, actually they are not repeated, we are not talking about them. Here you see three and through, yes, here they are matching, they are repeated, th. Okay, so you can say alliteration. Here sir, stood sir, still sir, smile sir, sir, sir. So this is also alliteration. Okay, okay, next. At the uncle with the camera, the repetition. Okay, then what? Face, once again let me remind you, this is synecdoche in this line. Face denotes what? Face represents the mother of the poet. Then my mother, what is it? Alliteration. Then that was before before I was born, that was before I was born, that is alliteration. You will find many alliterations used in this poem. Okay, next. And the sea, which appears to have changed less. Sea, actually sea remains the same, and it has nothing to do with any change. Who changes? Human beings. So this word change is actually a human trait, human character, which is used for the sea. So in this manner, this is personification. Okay, next. Washed word, just a minute, let me washed their terribly transient feet. Now this is very important. See, washed their terribly transient feet. Feet, their feet. Okay, and how are their feet? Terribly transient. Well, terribly transient, or only if you take transient, this is an adjective. Okay, which is usually not used with feet. It is usually used with the life of human being or any other thing. So feet is a noun, and this transient word is an adjective. In other words, it's a modifier. Okay, which modifies the noun. मतलब क्या करता है, इसकी क्वालिटी में और थोड़ा मॉडिफिकेशन करता है. जैसे फीट कैसे हैं, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ फीट्स, आई मीन फीट आर देयर, तो दे आर ट्रांजिएंट. ओके, तो इट मॉडिफाइज, मीन्स यू आर हैप्पी, तो आई मीन how much you are happy, so I am very happy. Okay, so it is a kind of modification. So here the feet are transient, so here adjective is used, and it is called transferred epithet. Transferred epithet. Epithet means adjective or a modifier. Why is it called transferred epithet? Because the place of this epithet, adjective, is transferred from a place to this place. That means before this noun feet, this word is hardly used. it is only the creation of the poet that she has used it. Otherwise, transient feat, it is a strange term to listen to. Okay, and that's why it is transferred. The real place of this adjective is transferred to another place before a noun, and that's why it is transferred epithet. Epithet means adjective or modifier. Next, some 20-30 years later. Okay, 20-30, this is internal rhyme. Internal rhyme. I need not give any definition because it's clear. Okay, why is it internal? See, what is rhyme? When you say twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. So in the end you find the rhyme, so that is called only rhyme. But here it's not in the end, it's in the middle of the line or sentence. 20-30 tt, that is what? It is internal rhyme. Okay, then let's move ahead. She would laugh at the snapshot. Okay, she would laugh at the snapshot. If I take this and this line together, then la, later, and la of laugh, la sound, repeated alliteration. And once again, if I talk about laugh, laugh is a word which denotes a sound. So whenever a sound is represented by a word, that is called onomatopoeia. Okay, onomatopoeia, I can give you a lot of examples of onomatopoeia. For example, all animal sounds are onomatopoeia, because for example, if I say a cow moos, the moo word is a word which denotes a sound. If I talk about impact sounds like boom, crash, whack, bang, these all words represent any sound. Okay, so whenever a word is used which denotes any sound, it is onomatopoeia. Next, see Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. See Betty and Dolly, she would say. देखो यहाँ पर एस स और यहाँ पे स, तो ये तो एलिट्रेशन हो गया. ठीक है, बेटी एंड डॉली में आई डोंट फाइंड एनी फिगर ऑफ स्पीच. एंड लुक हाउ दे, ठीक है, हाउ दे and holiday, no, it doesn't match. I think it doesn't match. But when I say they and when I say, they say, yes, a sound comes here, so it is internal rhyme here, not rhyme but internal rhyme. Say they, because of that. Okay, dressed us for the beach, the sea holiday. Okay, just a minute, this sentence is starting from see Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach, till here. So we can consider this beach, I mean this burr and this Betty's burr as alliteration. Okay, then this sir and the sir of say, alliteration. Okay, then say and they, internal rhyme. Okay, and then let's move ahead. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. See, it is an unpleasant, actually it is a pleasant way to represent an unpleasant thing. It is not pleasant to say that the sea holiday, she misses her sea holiday, now those days will never come. This is actually unpleasant. So she has tried to present it in a pleasant way, in a little bit a present way. So whenever an unpleasant way, I mean an unpleasant idea is represented through a pleasant thing, in a pleasant way, it is called euphemism. Euphemism is generally used for the things like he is no more, that means he died, he will never come now, okay, he took his last breath, उसने अपनी आखिरी सांस ली, मीन्स इन सब का मतलब एक ही है कि ही डाइड, ओके, बट डाइड बोलना इट्स स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्डली अनप्लेजेंट, सो द पीपल चूज अनदर वे टू प्रेजेंट एनी आइडिया और टू से एनीथिंग अनप्लेजेंट, सो थोड़ा वो प्लेजेंट वे में बोलते हैं, हालांकि वो भी एक प्लेजेंट वे नहीं है, बट फिर भी वो थोड़ा कम हार्श लगे, कम अनप्लेजेंट लगे, इसलिए वो दूसरे तरीके से बोलते हैं. तो यहाँ पर भी the poet has actually used this sentence, the sea holiday was her past and mine is her laughter. What do you mean with mine is her laughter means what? My past is her laughter, that means her laughter is my past, that means she would laugh when she was alive and I would enjoy her laughter, but now I can't see her laughter. अब वो नहीं रही, समझ रहे हो आप, माइन इज़ अ लाफ्टर, मेरा तो उनका लाफ्टर ही पास्ट बन के रह गया, इसका मतलब वो नहीं है लाइफ में, ठीक है, शी इज़ डेड, बट इस चीज़ को उन्होंने थोड़ा अलग तरीके से बोला, दैट्स वाई इट इज़ यूफेमिज्म. ओके, द सी हॉलीडे, ओके, दिस इज डन. बोथ rye with the labored ease of loss. This is also one of the most important figures of speech, and it is here. Labored ease. Labored ease, it is a term. See, these two words are actually contradictory to each other. Labor means hard work, working hard. Ease मतलब easily कोई काम हो जाए तो, ठीक है. तो क्या होता है कि इसको ऑक्सीमोरन बोलते हैं, ऑक्सीमोरन. ओके, व्हाट इज एन ऑक्सीमोरन? An oxymoron is a figure of speech containing words that seem to contradict each other, ठीक है. It is, actually it is often referred to as contradiction in terms. ये एक्चुअली कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन ही है, आपको डिक्शनरी में देखने को नहीं मिलेगी दोनों एक साथ, बट ये पोएट ने खुद एम्फेसाइज करने के लिए इसको यूज़ किया है. अब क्यों यूज़ किया है? See, I have told you that poets have very little time and little words to express many things. So both rhyme means both are disappointed. Both means mother of the poet and the poet herself. They are disappointed with the labored ease of loss. They are disappointed with the loss. So in the beginning, when they lost something, when they lost their dear and near ones, or when they lost their childhood days, whatever, so they were not able to accept it, they were struggling, they were working hard to cope with the loss. Okay, but what happened with the passage of time? With the passage of time, they had to accept it, they had to accept the reality कि हाँ यही सच है, तब उनको ये लॉस धीरे धीरे ईज के साथ एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ा, अदरवाइज पहले वो स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे. देन द सेम लॉस वॉज एक्सेप्टेड बाय देम easily because time, the years rolled by, और धीरे धीरे फिर आदत हो ही जाती है. लाइफ क्या है, लाइफ का नाम ही है आगे चलते रहना, ठीक है. तो दिस इज ऑक्सीमोरन. Well, here is W and here is also W, you will find, but when I say rye, and when I say with w sound is heard, but when you say rye, w sound is not heard, only rye, okay, is heard. So this is not there, that's why this W and this W will not be considered as alliteration. Remember this, because the consonant sound should be heard, so this is not alliteration. Okay, next one. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. As I need not tell you what is it. It is yes, simile. Okay, whenever as is used or like is used in a line or statement or sentence, it is simile. Okay, simile. Okay, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. Nothing word is used in this sentence. Nothing, it is a negative word. So whenever a negative word like no, not, nothing, never, neither, nor is used in a sentence only to give a positive meaning, इनका पर्पस क्या होता है, मीनिंग पॉजिटिव देना, पर यूज करते हैं नेगेटिव वर्ड, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड लाइटोटीज. ठीक है, ये लाइटोटीज है. इसका पॉजिटिव मीनिंग क्या आएगा, देयर इज एक्चुअली देयर इज नथिंग टू से एट ऑल. ओके, तो द पोएट इज स्पीचलेस to say anything at all. The poet is speechless to say anything at all about this, on this circumstance, on the event of a mother. Okay, and the last one, its silence silences. First of all, sir, alliteration. Then the second, its silences. Okay, its silence means the absence of her mother, and because of the silence surrounded actually, and I mean the whole life is actually silent, and that's why this silence, the silence of the situation, makes the poetess silence. Okay, so आपको साइलेंट कौन करता है, पहले तो क्लास से अगर शुरुआत करें तो स्टूडेंट्स कीप साइलेंस, ऐसा कौन बोलता है, तो टीचर, या घर पे साइलेंस. ठीक है, ऐसे भी आपको बोला, तो ये काम कौन करता है, ह्यूमन बीइंग. ठीक है, अब अगर ह्यूमन बीइंग, ये क्वालिटी किसकी आ गई, साइलेंट करने की क्वालिटी ह्यूमन बीइंग की है, बट ये तो साइलेंस खुद साइलेंट कर रहा है दूसरे को, तो ह्यूमन क्वालिटी इज गिवन टू दिस वर्ड साइलेंस, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दिस इज personification. Okay, so in this way we went through the whole poem and came to know about different kinds of figures of speech. Still, if you don't understand, if you did not get any figure of speech, I'm there to help you out. Feel free to ask me. Okay, and soon I'm going to send you a list of figures of speech along with their examples, so it will be clearer next time. Thank you.